was very exciting. For the first time, I was getting all these calls from agents and managers and stuff. And I just want to put out there that myself and another filmmaker by the name of Shreen Davas, who was also at Columbia with me as a friend, we both got signed to very big agencies, and there was also a lot of like heat around us. There were some agencies competing for us, and in part, it was said it was because we were women, and because there was like this new sort of interest in women filmmakers. So, I mean, take that for whatever it's worth, but I do have sort of peers from my class at Sundance who are guys who, you know, haven't had that same sort of angle to work, and it's been very tough for them. So, I mean, with that said, I absolutely agree with what Susan said in terms of that a lot of development executives who are women, because I'd say I don't know, like 90% of the meetings that I've had in Hollywood over the past year, the person on the other side of the table has been a woman. But you kind of intuitively know not to play to that in any direct sense, because I don't know, it feels inappropriate. It feels like, you know, what this is about is sort of the business at hand, and nobody in Hollywood really likes a whiner, so to speak. So, I mean, yes, there's a lot of sexism in Hollywood, and there is sort of a voice, and people tend to hire people like them. But I don't know how useful it is for us as women filmmakers to let ourselves get distracted by that. You know, we just have to kind of do it and you know, take things for as they come. I mean,
and then, you know, when we were talking, I don't want to go backwards, but when we were talking about do women support other women, and philosophically for the undergrads that are here, and others, I think a lot of people had to not do what they wanted to do. You know, I think a lot of women might have wanted to be directors, or might have wanted to be actors, and what was open for them were support positions. And we're used to nurturing others. We're used to nurturing men particularly. And can we nurture each other? And I think that's the real question. And we know as women, we're wonderful nurturers. We nurture actors, we nurture talent, you know. So I think that as we really follow what we really want to do, that we then can support others that are doing what they really want to do, and to really support each other in what we want to do and not take a support position. I think being a director requires all the nurturing that we tend to give to others. We have to really take that and give that to ourselves and say, I want to do this, and I deserve to do this. I think that's the biggest challenge. Do I deserve to do this? So the answer has to be yes. You know, my vision matters, my voice matters, and that matters more than anything. You know, if you're going to follow this path, it's like what I have to say matters, and nothing will deflect that. So the Pepsi Peace quote, you know, if you learn how to communicate to the world, if you can sell Pepsi effectively in a commercial, then you can learn how to sell.
I just wanted to say that I actually think that this is a really exciting time we're living in. I mean, if you think about it, Catherine Bigelow is going to win. You know, it is a movie about guys, but she is gonna, you know, that's a landmark thing. And if you look at a lot of the movies that have made a lot of money, whether you were fans of the movies or not, but that were, and not just about money, but that were commercially successful or commercially and critically successful just in the past 2 months. Julie and Julia, Nora Ephron, It's Complicated, Nancy Myers, tons of indie films that have gotten amazing reviews. It really is a remarkable time. And having, you know, now been doing this for 28 years, when I think back about how things have changed, it's pretty amazing.
Can you give us an example of when you said no? It's important.
Well, I would say my experiences with my documentary and right now adapting it into a feature. it was a really stressful summer for me with trying to get that going. And I would say 99.99% of the meetings I had, no matter what I said or no matter what it was prefaced before I even walked in the door, because I had made it very clear to my agent and anyone who asked that I was not willing to give up the writing credit on adapting it into a feature. Without fail, every single person I met with said, so why don't you let someone else write it, like a A-list screenwriter guy? And they would offer me all sorts of things to do that. And one conversation was something like, why don't you let an A-list screenwriter, it was a guy, a particular guy, write a movie? And I said, how will I ever become an A-list screenwriter if I don't get to write this movie? My documentary is my movie, and if I don't let myself write this movie, when am I ever going to get to write a movie? So that was certainly, for me, the most salient, I guess, example of knowing what to say no. That was, but that was a personal decision. I just wanted to say no to that. Because those are the...
So I think, if you build it, they will come. If you keep every day, take the small steps that you need to do to push your project forward, and you have that, unwavering commitment, and you see it through. That's my whole thing. It's like never start a film and not finish it. Like always finish your film, because great things can happen if you just show up, basically.
Now I certainly see why a child would be a lot better than not. But I think for myself, I can't see how to do both. And I'm always in a suitcase, and I think I'm curious about that challenge, and I'm curious about how much that's a question. I know I was certainly asked that question by executive producers, whether that's sexist or not, if I intend to have a child, because they're putting money into you. And in their minds, they're wondering if you're going to take off for 9 months or forever, and people, so that's another real question in people's minds, and I have been directly asked it. So, I spent a lot of time really thinking about that, and only time will tell, but I definitely, it fuels me more to really, and let this be the creativity, and let this be, using that, because we've got this unbelievable creative power as women. So, I'll let you know in another 10 years.
After my son was born, I did stop working for about 3 years. And I was actually exhausted, so I was glad to stop working. And my husband's also in the film business, so he was very supportive and helpful. But I did find that after at a certain age, when he was about 4 going on 10, I was getting itchy to work again. I mean, you can't, if you're creative, it's great being with your child and doing all those mommy and me things, but you start to really crave this other kind of creative outlet.